Welcome to CathyDSlaught's SRC4u Zoom call for November 15th, 2021. We're here on Cathy's website, CathyDSlaght.com, and we're going to scroll down and look for this Zoom banner. If you'd like to be part of Cathy's SRC4u Daily Energy Clearing Group, you click here to get the information. We're going to click here to join the Zoom call. We're on the Zoom platform. I will click here. This will take us into the Zoom calls, so please prepare your speakers as it may be loud.
Hey, I guess here we are at 10 o'clock. We can get started. And let me show you. We had an interesting weekend. We asked for a ton of energy for our lungs. And so, just so you know. And so what's interesting, I had a thought today with our WonderClick. I had a thought that we would go into another form of dowsing that we haven't looked at closely, although some of you here may have. But this right here, the right here, the dowsing, these all have codes with them, frequencies rather, right frequencies, and it's a nice once or so a week just to go through and give yourself a little bit energy from this list, which is in your charger. But what happened, I want you to look at all of the charges we're asking for today. Let me get up here. Some of them I went ahead and started on. The rest of these we'll go through the day. We wanted 1 minute for mineral. So that gives you information to maybe double check what you're doing for yourself in that department. We wanted 3 minutes to clear blockages. Now, we actually wanted some QiGong energy by actually giving ourselves a charge from the cocktail. Let me show you how you could do that if it came up. Let's go in here. Again, for some reason, I'm not going to be able to do as much with this. I don't know why it's not letting me in. I can't do it from down here because I want to access the SRC. We would actually want to give a charge. There we go. We got it. The QiGong, where did we go? Okay, we've got a QiGong in here somewhere. Anybody see it? I'm going to give you an example of another way, and it may not, maybe it got put in. Well, now we're giving ourselves a roof leak charge. So anyway, what you can do is go in and add various cocktails from your other cocktails, whether it be the SRC4u P4 or any of the Pro Tools. We'll have to go in. I'll have to go in and do that later because it's not really cooperating with me. The little Zoom thing is blocking it. But
if I could interrupt,
yes,
in the upper right-hand corner where you just were, you can type in QiGong.
No, I can't get there on my computer because it's blocked. The Zoom information is blocking it. So you all may be able to see it, but on mine I can't see it. Because that's ordinarily what you would do. You would go up for all of these and see. But mine, I've got the Zoom thing. You all can't see it, but it covers it. So that's the problem. And that's without me even enlarging. But anyway, going on down, and again, I think I'm going to have the same situation here. but you can get an idea. And I went ahead and did this already. 4-minute charge, streptococcus infection general, conception vessel. And so these are all charges we're wanting today, which we'll go through and do. And what's interesting, as you can see, this is quite a few, so we'll do the dowsing tomorrow probably, because that's a powerful group of charges. But you can see we want to really take care probably in reference to lungs. There seems to be some stress, sinus, that kind of thing. And again, this is all etheric. It's our blueprint. So we could be really preventing a little setback. But now, as far as the WonderClick, and I think we have a couple of new people in here, and you remember that when you start out and get the WonderClick stands for, I wonder what a QiGong master would do today. So we see that we're getting, and this is where I checked for the charges, stress related to blood pressure, which the WonderClick is working with, spleen. There's the mineral balance. We wanted a little oomph on that. Blockage, we wanted a little extra energy there. Now, anti-aging, I'm going to tell you something funny about that. We're going to go into in a moment about the thoughts that, remember, got all erased from my computer on Friday, but the power of thoughts. And I just want to remind you that some of the people on the planet that have done the very most transformative work for the planet have actually been quite elderly. So I was looking over this kind of thing over the weekend, and I went in and gave myself a Fountain of Youth session in the recharger, and ironically, I asked for 24 hours. So it might not hurt to do a little Fountain of Youth energy every now and then. And remember that as you get older, you actually, in many ways, get more powerful. In fact, the Bible talks about gray hair as a sign of wisdom. There's your QiGong again we're asking for. Aura systems. Heart, we wanted a little extra energy. Expiratory, we wanted quite a bit of extra energy. Thymus, it wouldn't hurt when you see this kind of information.
I can't hear you.
Can't hear me? Yeah, everything's on. Can the rest of you hear?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we hear you. Okay. Now, we came up with exercise spirit. I did a priority for Chi to receive some energy for that in the prayer group, or the prayer warrior, and we did have a 76% benefit. So I pretty much keep this going all the time. The other computer has most of it. I try to keep this as clean as possible for the Zooms.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not getting any sound.
Yeah, I don't know. We can hear you.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, good. So what you see is for the exercise spirit at this moment in time, 30 minutes. I don't know if anybody else noticed over the weekend. It seemed we had some unusual energy. And I got quite a few calls from people in the group asking if I could send some extra energy. And I don't know what that was related to or if anybody else noticed it. Circulation, muscle regions. And then moving on, I'm not going to enlarge until I get to talk to Kevin again to figure out how to get it back to normal size. We wanted sinus, charge. And then with our emotions, let's just look in here and see some of the stress. There was a 5-minute for circulation. And as you see, as you look through things, there really is no negative. We learn from all of this. discussed. Our whole focus with this kind of work is to keep our voltage high, and these are the things that bring it down. So when we get into what we're going to talk about next, in case again, let's just put that in there. Because it does appear that we're in the middle of a field with information on everything we could ever want, but we've got to have high enough life force, what the Chinese referred to as qi, to get to it. Success is best measured by how far you've come with the talents you've been given. That's our message. Honest communication. Let's just go in here. We can put that in the shin. You know, the shin can reinforce the positive, and the Gong kind of diffuse a few negatives. This is going to be interesting, too, in reference to what we're going to talk about in a moment, because the true key to mastery does not appear to be focusing on yourself, but rather focusing on giving to others. Let's just see what kind of stress, if any. And this is for the whole group. And that's one of the little tricks the ego plays on us. Dream clarification. This is all coming in imposed. So I don't know where the stress is coming from, but according to this moment in time, because you know this is all subtle and your energy will continue to flow, we see that it's coming in from outside. Okay, maybe a little bit more in the emotions, a little bit more in control than they need to be. Let's look. Stress related to emotionality. And again, that's a toss-up as to whether it's negative or not, because you learn from it. Look at that. A little bit of stress there. Let's just... And even though we did not request it on the Pro Tool scanner, let's go into the emotional panel. See where we are with that at this moment in time. So that's a little bit of the stress, our energy flow, primarily, letting in some Chinese pathogens. And romantic. There's that streptococcus again. So we want to go back and forth with that. Again, doesn't mean a doctor would find that. That's in our field. We do not want to necessarily manifest it. Brain cells come. Yeah.
What's the difference between Chinese pathogens and Western pathogens?
You know, that's a good question, Elizabeth. Just basic terminology is my understanding. I haven't studied it deeply.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very interesting, though, the insight the Chinese had. For example, damp, I know I can't adequately explain that, but it comes up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that if the Western world had that same terminology eons ago, but lost it.
Mm.
So here's our words to ponder. Brain cells come and go, but fat cells live forever. Cushy. Emotional struggle with self. We see that already in the emotions panel. Let's see what kind of stress that is producing. We could take a quick peek at the emotions panel. And again, all subtle information. Dejected we can do without. Then again, it is a Monday. Again, none of these energies are going to get us where we want to be. Let's just see what that does to the overall system. There's that exorcism that we're working to clear. So anyway, so that if you look in, and what's interesting with this upgrade, this final upgrade, when you go in and you work on the Wonder Click and add whatever charges you're asking for, which we've started on and will continue with. If I can get down here, hold on.
Quick question.
Yes.
You know, when you talk about exorcism with the spirits, are you talking about exorcism with entities?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is something now with the quantum work, and they can get out there and measure. A lot of us are talking about things we were never comfortable talking about before, but with the energy work, you see what's happening to the field, and we're going to talk a little bit about some in different terms about that today. But you can see that when we do the rest of the scan, very often. Now Friday we wanted electro energy, we wanted the SSTT for the acupoints, but very often the Wonder Click and the charger, along with the Shen and Gong, you have basically you're set. And so the idea, a lot of people I know, they think they may not want to work with software, and you can do all you want. I love it. I'm on it all day doing all kinds of things. But for those who aren't drawn to that, maybe they already are on the computer all day at work, they don't have much time or whatever, the Wonder Click and a few charges are huge for maintaining your health on every level. But we had started on thoughts because if you think about it, all of this is stemming from our thoughts. And, you know, we talk about free will, and we do have free will. But our thoughts, we may not have free will regarding our thoughts. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
And so what happens, we did this the other day, and we saw a little stress related to the media. Let's just, for the heck of it, do again, knowing our energy is always flowing, but let's just see if the group has any, yeah, right here, book thoughts. Isn't that interesting? And also dark energy thoughts. So we're just going to go in here. So in other words, we've got some reading material that has been influencing our thoughts in a non-beneficial way. Let's just put it up here.
And with regards to our thoughts, not our own, there is technology. It's called brain to skull technology, where thoughts can be put into our brain.
So we have to be a little bit more discerning about what we're reading. Let's just go ahead and get that started. So what happened is I've been reading a little bit on this idea. I want to show you some thoughts, and we'll douse these codes in. This one, I love this code. Reset the frequency of all disease cells to the frequency of optimal health. How could you go wrong with that? So let's go in here and see how we as a group resonate. And remember, everything is a number. Everything's a code. So this may be as close, working this way. Okay, we're doing some pretty good resonance with that. Then I want to go over some thoughts about thought, because we're actually creating our reality with our thoughts, many of which we're not aware of. And yet, the more of this kind of work you do, whether it's this SRC work or any kind of energy work, prayer work, etc., the more this unseen energy around you will communicate with you. And one of the things, now there's no code for this, but one of the things that happens is you start getting instincts. And come on, there we go. And let's just see where we are with actually catching those instincts. I don't know if anybody else has regretted times they got an instinct and didn't follow it. And I sure have. Well, let's just douse that up and maybe put it in the shin as well. This isn't, yeah.
I was going to say, one way that I know that I'm getting ready to, my body will say, I wonder, and then it'll continue on, and the next thing I know, within moments or whenever, my I wonder thoughts, whatever I'm asking, will be answered. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Or ask for a sign. Now, this is interesting, too. I don't know if you remember, a while back we talked about the truth that thoughts lie. In other words, the thoughts that come into your mind often are false thoughts. And now we at this point don't need this clearing, but one of the way thoughts come in is through past lives. We do not need this clearing at this moment in time. Some people also, by the way, don't like the word God. They'd rather say source or universe. Use the terminology you prefer. The word God, though, in all of the different codes and all of the different sciences, has an extremely high resonance, even though some don't care for it. Some other codes which we can be working with: faith. All thoughts lead to action of joy. Safe thoughts, renewal of faith. This weekend, I do want to say the group was asking for a lot of energy in reference to faith. So this would be faith in your own power to create the world you wish to create. And as you're going to see, as we think about this, we do have that power. And any of the work we do here can reinforce this. This can be a powerful manifestation tool, but it's still related to our own thoughts. What will happen as this continues to kind of knock at the door, as we continue to receive this energy, you will see synchronicities, you will see shifts, you will get instincts. Okay, that's got a good number. Again, thoughts, kindness, spiritual light, joy in this incarnation. It does appear, we've got to really focus on this, whatever term you want to refer to as, but happiness, joy. But in order to keep your energy high, and we've got to be thankful and joyful for where we are right now if we're really going to want to work with the power of our thoughts. And again, as a group, we're looking pretty good. Just a few other thoughts here. Here's one maybe that would help. Inspired to beneficial action from reading material. Recognize the power of the mind. Open all channels to receive higher forms of thought. New abilities to receive thoughts. And one of the biggest is those instincts. Because the more stress you clear, the more the universe is going to be communicating with you. Discover new depths in the use of the mind.
I like that.
So, yeah, what we have here. And let me tell you what happened. I had a couple of people in the past weeks that were really facing some challenges, that when I did their session, both people asked for the SSTT Word of God scan. And so I was kind of curious about what part of the Word of God. So I did a second scan, and both of them wanted to read the book of Exodus. So the book of Exodus, of course, is all about Moses and how he freed the Israelites from the oppression of the Egyptians. And one of the things interesting about Moses, and of course we don't know how much of this is literal, we don't know how much of it is even in deeper code for us, but what happened is Moses was actually quite old when he did that, and he also had a speech impediment. He had to have someone else speak for him many times. So that in itself is thought-provoking, and why I added the Fountain of Youth code for us. But beyond that, what happened is apparently he came across some great spiritual knowledge, which many of us have not accessed. And I was curious. I thought I'd like to know a little bit more about Moses. And I don't want to read some of these books on magic. You know, many say, well, Moses was doing magic. And I don't want to go that direction. And so I wanted something to learn more. And I walked in a little shop on Friday. I had to buy someone a birthday gift. And there was a book, The Moses Code. Has anybody read that? If not, it apparently was a bestseller back in 2008. I missed it. But he's done a rewrite because of the stress in these times. And it's a good read. I felt like that was kind of a little synchronistic thing for me, so I grabbed it. But then I later found out it's also in document form on Scribe. So if you're on Scribe, you can take a quick look. But I'm going to go over a few of the things he says and give you some thoughts, and then we'll be done for today because...
I remember that.
Pardon me?
I do remember that, the Moses Code.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with it, but I knew since I had been wanting to have more knowledge, I just grabbed it. But one of the things that he says, he starts out, he talks about the book, The Secret. And he says, The Secret did introduce people to the power of their thoughts, but it was in reference to ego-based desires. You get a new car, you get a new house. It was all material things. And for many, that did not work out. What happened was that I even knew people that went out and bought things, new cars, etc., saying, oh, well, now I have the secret, I'll just manifest the money. And guess what? It did not work out that way. So as they talk about, you want to, if you're really going to use the power of your thoughts, you want to be focused on, you can still have these things for yourself. There's not a thing wrong with them because we're here to have joy, but it can't be the only thing. And what Moses was doing is he had the name of God, and that's how he was doing his work. And it was, I am that I am, according to the book. And this apparently, he may have been experimenting with the power of this before he even approached the Pharaoh. And you know, the Pharaoh at that time was one of the most powerful ever. So you can imagine a sheep herder who had a speech impediment and old going to such a high-ranking official and saying, you know, we need your whole workforce now needs to go. We're ready to move on. So it's kind of intriguing. But just a few codes I've gotten so far, and if any of you want them, I'm going to send them all out. There's not codes for all of it. But words, as you know, are so powerful. Two.
Yes.
That would be great, Cathy.
What's that?
That would be great. So,
Yeah,
no,
I
wonderful.
have, you know, it's a very interesting thing when we look at what's going on in this world, and I know they like to say, oh, that's a bunch of conspiracy theory, but the truth is, if you do your deep study, a lot of it is not. So here's an interesting one: access to powerful manifestation tools. And one of them, I believe, is this tool we're on right now. But there still is nothing more powerful than your own thoughts, and to have that awareness and realize you are here to have all things. And we've had a lot of this information unavailable. He mentions that in the book, that I don't know how he refers to them, but the higher ups felt that the common man should not have this understanding of how to manifest. And they may have some good points there. I'm not going to say they didn't, but regardless of that, our consciousness has expanded to the point where we can give it some extra energy. Harness the power to create miracles. How about this? Build a world based on compassion and love. No code yet, but I'm sure they'll get one for us. Typically, if you ask in that Healing Grab a Voice site, a few days later, they'll come up with something. But right now, let's just look at the words of it. And they've done experiments with what he talks about in the Moses Code and seeing crime go down, drug abuse go down, etc., etc. Manifestation secrets previously hidden are now revealed to the collective, and then I added in a perfect and correct way. Because again, you don't want to, if you use these incorrectly, you'll have a big blowback, but, you know, it's not necessary. So let's just see where we are with that. This is what gets us in trouble, is our ego wants to call the shots. We want perhaps control over others, or we want material, etc., etc. So there is a code to be free of that, and that's probably your true freedom. Realization of power to attract everything desired. Got a little bit of stress there. We have not been programmed that way. We realize just how powerful, and especially as a collective, there's that fountain of youth.
I remember one time, Cathy, years ago, I had a minister teach me this. He said, Ron, when you speak this, say it with power. And you say, I think my thought, and I speak my word, and the power of the universe vibrates to manifest it.
Yes, oh, that's wonderful. Look, I love that. Look at this one now. Enlightened souls now manifest the world of our dreams. There is a code for it. Let's douse it in. You could use a little reinforcement there. Uncover the key to the realization of all dreams. Invulnerable grace, one with God. These are a few. There are not codes for all of this. activate cosmic and elemental energies to align with the power of God.
Wow.
And this, even with our Power of 8 group, our, power group, rather, and all the things we're working towards, just to realize the gift we have, which we have not understood. And I'll show you one little thing. I'm not done with this little book yet. It's an interesting book. I hope some of you will grab it and take a look at it. And especially if you're on Scribed, it's in document form, but it's there. But here is something that very often can hold us back. At least I know it can hold me back. And a thought with that, let's say you decide to put this to the test. In the first exercise in the book, he suggests you write down what you want and write it down. So let's just say now, for the heck of it, I have a brand new Rolls Royce. So let's say the person is looking in terms of a vehicle, and this is their first thought. One thing, and I've done this a lot for myself and for people in sessions, if you want to do some goal setting and see what you're really resonating with, go up here to your Find Options button, put that in there, and search. We're not so interested in that, although I thought it'd be a much higher number. You're looking for a lower number here, under 1,000, ideally a 00, and then that shows you where you might want to start with your goal setting. So let's say, for example, and throw out some examples if you can, because I'm just brainstorming. I am now clear of debt. How about that one? Yeah, that's not what, as a group, let's see.
Well, how about I have a lovely, steady, dependable income.
Ooh, I like it.
And mutual benefits.
Say, okay, dependable income for what?
I have a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefits.
Did you say consistent?
Consistent, yes. Consistent with integrity and mutual benefits.
I'm going to copy that because that's a good one to see if we might even use it once in a while. Oops. So now search. That's still not it. It's for many. It's not the first priority. I know that sounds interesting, but oops, there it goes. Okay. Very often what people think is their top priority turns out isn't. And that might be why they do some of that work with manifestation. And,
I was okay with Ron's statement.
There you go.
Added the lavish.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, try this, all of you, for yourself. That's right. The power of the words. This is also something they talk about. Is on a very deep level. Most of us feel we don't deserve things. That's been programmed in from a very early time. So, play with that a little bit. Let's do one more. Can you think of one more? How about this? I now have a clean bill of health.
Very good.
And that's a little lower, but some of you, that might be your 00. And we, by the way, do have a code for that. But that gives you an idea. If you do a little playing around with this, here is what he says to do then. And again, I'm going to go with the what can it hurt philosophy. Write out what it is you want. So let's, what is that again, Ron? I've got it right here. Write that on a piece of paper And let's say you need to take out a word or two. Let's just say that lavish is not quite where you want to be. Write that on a piece of paper and simply under it write, I am that I am. And he's talking about very powerful results from this kind of work, and I'm saying, why not give it a try?
So another thing, Cathy, that comes up to mind is that yesterday I was watching a video by Raymond Grace, and he says to write it out on a piece of paper, put them up on the wall, and as you turn your eyes up and you read it, you're reading it, and when you're reading it that way, what you're doing is you're entering into the alpha state.
Mm-hmm.
Alpha.
I love it. Yeah, and that alpha is key, and that's why driving. If any of you are working with codes, to have your code memorized, even then repeat it while you're driving or walking, anything that puts you in alpha. That's exactly right. And putting your eyes up, yes, is also very powerful. Very powerful.
Yeah,
they say,
you know.
What's that?
Here's a simple one. Day by every way, I'm getting better and better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot. We have the knowledge. We've all read the books probably and seen these things, but we may be at a time in our consciousness. And this, they talked about the books. You remember that you might read a book 30 years ago, and at the time, your consciousness was not there. It didn't make any sense. All of a sudden, out of the blue, you're either inspired to reread that book or something comes back to you. It's very interesting how powerful our mind is. It stores everything we've ever been exposed to.
I agree with that too.
And they do say the more specific you can be. So you might even play around when you go to that income, let's say that's the one you work with, you might go into the find options and do a little testing for what amount of income you're wanting to produce. And then put, of course, or better. That's one thing he says that I had thought differently. I've always said if you're going to do this kind of work, it's like muscles, and you need to build up, start with a little something small and work your way up. He says that's not necessary. It's all the same. So if you want to find a parking spot, find a parking spot. If you want to produce something much bigger than that, go for it. So let's see where we are with this today.
That's the question, the most benevolent outcome.
Yeah, I like to put in a perfect and correct way for some reason, but most benevolent, highest good for all. Now we're just wanting to wonder quick. Let's go in here. We got our QiGong panel that we requested. How about alignment with higher self for today? 30 minutes. We want 3 of these premiums, which we may get. Prayer Warrior, we're doing. The Mediator. Again, any suggestions for the mediation? The Mediator tool.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, yeah, the Mediator. Let's go in here. The way I have been using it over the years, we're actually mediating with ourselves. And that being the case, let's just do activate cosmic and elemental energies to align with the power of God. going to go back in here now. It's going to amp up, and what you're going to see is of course, this is a group of people, but how willing we are, how much resistance. We're here at a 10 on a very surface level. Are we willing to do that? Are we willing to align with that power? The ego would say no. Now let's see what we've got. There we go. We're a little bit still stressed on that. We are pro 9772 and against 10 4.76. Let's just go ahead. So we'll probably go down a level each day this week, 1 or 2 levels, and see if we can align with accessing this power that we supposedly came in prepared to do and have not understood. So that's it.
You on that one.
What's that?
You on that.
So we're going to go now with what we've got in here. And of course, we're still doing some charges as the day goes on. We're going 14 hours and 14 minutes as we are. So that's it for today.
Thank you, Cathy.
Any questions? Any thoughts?
Thank you.
Okay, well, have a good one.
This concludes the SRC4u Zoom call for November 15th, 2021. We look forward to seeing you again. Till then, take care and be well.